Korea, or the Korean Peninsula, is a region in East Asia. Since 1945 it has been divided into the two parts which soon became the two sovereign states. North Korea. During the first half of the first millennium, Korea was divided between the three competing states of Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla, together known as the Three Kingdoms of Korea. In the second half of the first millennium, Silla defeated and conquered Baekje and Goguryeo, leading to the unified Silla period. Meanwhile, Balhae formed in the north, superseding former Goguryeo. Unified Silla eventually collapsed into three separate states due to civil war, ushering in the later Three Kingdoms. Toward the end of the first millennium, Goguryeo was resurrected as Goryeo, which defeated the two other states and unified the Korean peninsula as a single sovereign state. Around the same time, Balhae collapsed and its last crown prince fled south to Goryeo, whose name developed into the modern exonym Korea, was a highly cultured state that created the world's first metal movable type in 1234. However, multiple incursions by the Mongol Empire during the 13th century greatly weakened the nation, which eventually agreed to become a vassal state after decades of fighting. Following military resistance under King Gongmin that ended Mongol political influence in Goryeo, severe political strife followed, and Goryeo eventually fell to a coup led by General Yi Seong-gae, who established Joseon in the 17th of July 1392. The first 200 years of the Joseon era were marked by relative peace. During this period, the Korean alphabet was created by Sejong the Great in the 15th century and there was increasing influence of Confucianism. During the later part of the dynasty, Korea's isolationist policy earned it the Western nickname of the Hermit Kingdom. By the late 19th century, the country became the object of imperial design by the Empire of Japan. After the First Sino-Japanese War, despite the Korean Empire's effort to modernize, the country was annexed by Japan in the 22nd of August 1910 and directly ruled by it until the end of World War II in the 2nd of September 1945. In 1945, the Soviet Union and the United States agreed on the surrender of Japanese forces in Korea in the aftermath of World War II, leaving Korea partitioned along the 38th parallel. The North was under Soviet occupation and the South under US occupation. These circumstances became the basis for the division of Korea by the two superpowers with two different ideologies, exacerbated by their inability to agree on the terms of Korean independence. The communist-inspired government in the North received backing from the Soviet Union in opposition to the pro-Western government in the South, leading to Korea's division into two political entities in 1948, North Korea and South Korea. Tensions between the two resulted in the outbreak of the Korean War in 1950. With involvement by foreign troops, the war ended in a stalemate in 1953, but without a formalized peace treaty. This status contributes to the high tensions that continue to divide the peninsula. Both governments of the two Koreas continue to claim to be the sole legitimate government of the region. Quote, Korea is the modern spelling of Korea, a name attested in English as early as 1614. Korea was transliterated as Koli in the travels of Marco Polo, of the Chinese Gao Li, the northernmost of the three kingdoms of Korea, which was officially known as Goryeo beginning in the 5th century. The original name was a combination of the adjective go with expanding British and American trade following the opening of Korea in the late 19th century. The spelling Korea appeared and gradually grew in popularity. Its use in transcribing East Asian languages avoids the issues caused by the separate hard and soft C's existing in English vocabulary derived from the Romance languages. The name Korea is now commonly used in English contexts by both North and South Korea. In South Korea, Korea as a whole is referred to as Hanguk. The name references Samhan, referring to the three kingdoms of Korea, not the ancient confederacies in the southern Korean peninsula. Although written in Hanja as Ha, Gan, or Kan, this Ha has no relation to the Chinese place names or peoples who used those characters but was a phonetic transcription of a native Korean word that seems to have had the meaning big, or great, particularly in reference to leaders. It has been tentatively linked with the title Khan used by the nomads of Manchuria in Central Asia. In North Korea, Japan, China and Vietnam, Korea as a whole is referred to as Joseon. Triutian are a partial translation into Chinese of the Korean capital Asadal, whose meaning has been reconstructed as morning land or mountain. Korea consists of a peninsula and nearby islands located in East Asia. The peninsula extends southwards for about 1,100 kilometers to the west. The Korea Strait connecting the two bodies of water. To the northwest, the Amnok River separ